Hello, everyone. My name is Nekima Levy-Pounds, and I'm running to become the next mayor of Minneapolis. In terms of my background, I am a civil rights attorney. I was a law professor for 14 years, 13 of which were at the University of St. Thomas, where I ran a civil rights legal clinic. Now, during my time at St. Thomas, I had an opportunity to get up close and personal on issues that impacted communities of color, particularly with regard to the issue of economic justice and unemployment disparity. I served as the co-chair of Everybody In, which was a regional group that was focused on increasing the regional economic competitiveness in our area by 2020. One of the things that we focused on was the fact that we did not have an equity plan to begin to address the inequities that we talk about so frequently. And so we explored different opportunities, which I'll talk about a little bit later. I also served as the co-chair of the Minnesota Advisory Committee to the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. During my leadership, we produced a report called Unemployment Disparity in Minnesota, which my law students and I researched and wrote in 2013. So if you Google unemployment disparity in Minnesota, you will be able to find this report where we look at the root causes of unemployment disparities in the state of Minnesota, as well as solutions. So we look at things such as the changing demographics in the state of Minnesota. We talk about this notion of the silver tsunami, which is an unprecedented number of baby boomers who are exiting the workforce. They're exiting good paying jobs. And we have not worked quickly enough as a state or even within our region to fill those jobs with prepared, qualified workers, right? So that's a big issue that we're currently facing right now. Beyond that, we also interviewed small business owners and learned about some of the issues that they're facing as well. So this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It is something that I would take very seriously as mayor. And one of the tools that I have in my tool belt is the bully pulpit, where I would have the opportunity to set the tone for the rest of the city as far as acting with a greater sense of urgency in closing the gaps in unemployment, but also creating new job opportunities, implementing wealth building strategies, and boosting up minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses, something that I don't think that we have done enough of. So I want to talk about some of the things that I would put on the table as mayor. Number one, I would work very diligently to implement an equity plan in the city of Minneapolis. Right now, we throw out equity as a buzzword, and we handle issues surrounding equity in a piecemeal fashion. So, for example, we have different departments where you might have a department head that cares about equity. So maybe that person is pursuing grant opportunities or trying to bring forward initiatives surrounding equity. But it is really not something that we are doing across every single agency that the mayor has control over in the city. And I know that something like this can work because I traveled to Seattle, Washington. I learned about their citywide equity plan and how their different departments set goals for how to achieve equity. So what I would envision as mayor, number one, mayor is responsible for overseeing 13 city agencies, including the police department. And so what I would do is to get those department heads on the same page through specialized training about equity and what it means as far as setting goals within their department, setting metrics that are attainable to achieve, and making sure that all the staff are trained on meeting those metrics and that performance evaluations are tied to meeting those metrics, and then that there is accountability. So the public is not just made aware of how much money we spent, but they're made aware of what we accomplished with those resources. So I think that that's the first step, developing an equity plan for the city, which includes input from stakeholders from all sectors and who care about this particular issue. We also need to see the people of this city as assets and not deficits. And I'm speaking specifically about people of color. The city of Minneapolis is 40% people of color. Yet when we talk about disparities across key indicators of quality of life, we give the impression that people of color are the problems and not the way that we do business, not our systems, our policies, our practices, our laws, and our resource allocations. That's what I actually think is the problem. The fact is, as Minneapolis has become much more racially and ethnically diverse, we haven't changed our systems, our practices, and our policies to accommodate the unique and specific needs of those different groups that really represent the fabric of who we are as a city. So one of the things that I would do as far as building up minority-owned businesses is to have business commissions that represent different ethnic groups. So I would have a Latino business commission, a Hmong business commission, a Somali business commission, African American business commission, Native American business commission, where I would meet with them on at least a quarterly basis to talk about how their businesses are doing, how effective or ineffective city programs and initiatives are, and take in that feedback from them, and then work with the department heads to make the changes that are necessary to streamline government processes, to make sure that we are contracting with those businesses at a much higher rate, and to make sure that those business owners feel as though they have a stake in what's happening at the city level, right? So that's one of the things that I would do that I think is unique, because again, I see diversity as one of our greatest strengths. I would also use that bully pulpit to speak to the heads of corporations, to say that it's important that they take personal responsibility for the lack of diversity amongst many of their key staff members, and even in their hiring processes. I would challenge them to go back and reclassify some of the positions that they have available. So in the past, when we had a population of people that had higher percentages of bachelor's degrees, maybe they needed to place a premium on folks with bachelor's degrees. Now, with the current climate, I think it's important to go back and look at those positions and think about, are there positions that used to require a bachelor's degree, but actually could be done with the high school diploma plus experience, or with a 2-year degree plus experience? Those are changes that I think we should challenge our business leaders to make. I would also challenge our business leaders to make sure that there are equitable hiring practices for people who have criminal histories. We have ban the box that was passed at the state level, but I would argue ban the box is actually delay the box, because our employers are still discriminating against people with criminal histories. We need to make sure that we send the message that we need to change those policies, and the city needs to demonstrate that in terms of who we hire and the standards that we use, and being willing to give people a second chance. Beyond that, the city needs to place a premium on hiring workers who speak different languages, who understand the myriad beautiful cultures within our city, and are able to communicate effectively with people when they need it most. Beyond that, in terms of what I've heard from small businesses, we need to definitely increase access to capital. The city needs to be willing to use its leverage to send a signal to many of our big banks that they could do a better job of improving their lending practices to businesses of color, and promote equity as well. We need to make sure that we have strong technical support programs. That's one of the things that I hear from business owners. They don't get enough advice about job growth. And we also have to increase access to networking opportunities. We can't keep locking businesses of color out of the opportunity to network with stakeholders who may be able to do business with them. I would also like to see venture capitalists be willing to invest in business owners of color, which is something that does not happen often enough. We also need to promote youth entrepreneurship, right? So, of course, we have to increase job opportunities for young people, but at the same time, some of our young people should have the opportunity to start their own businesses. So that means we need programs in the schools, programs in the libraries, programs in our after-school programs. The city needs to help leverage its resources to promote entrepreneurship opportunities for young people. I don't think that it's ever too early to make sure that our young people have business principles in mind, and that they know that they have the capacity to run and grow and operate their own businesses. In terms of other wealth building strategies, we have to address the issue of affordable housing. With all the empty lots that the city currently has, we need to make home ownership affordable for the poor and the working poor as a mechanism for building wealth. We need to connect with developers that are community minded to build more energy efficient homes and to leverage our resources. So I see my time's running out. Vote Nekima for mayor. I am so supportive of what's happening in our community, and I will work hard for everyone. Thank you so much.